Hello caffeine fiends and welcome to another coffee review video for www.getbeaned.com. I'm Vince the Mean Bean Machine and today we're returning to our old favourites Dark Arts Coffee and we're looking at their Metal Hoop coffee. Now they had a promotion with this fairly recently on their website, so I picked up a box of this with a box of Girls Who Grind Coffee's Karen Hernandez coffee. And that came free with it, as I mentioned in the Karen Hernandez review. So today we'll be reviewing the actual metal hoop itself, which cost me £12 for 250 grams. So not bad going, kind of standard procedure really. Well, slightly more, but because it's an anaerobic coffee, so it's a coffee, the way they kind of ferment it uses, doesn't use oxygen. You kind of compact it down, so that's why it's a little bit more expensive than kind of more standard coffees, but £12 is kind of hitting that and what you'd expect to be paying, so not bad to start with anyway. And since it came with another free coffee, £12 is, £12 for 2 boxes of coffee is nothing really, so that is quite good going. So the tasting notes on this are nectarine acidity with notes of fig and chocolate. So I'm expecting quite a sharp acidity. The thing, I've only tried about 3 anaerobic coffees that I'm aware of, 3 or 4 maybe. And they do have this very kind of fruity, not too sharp, but quite sweet, very kind of acidity that catches you a bit by surprise, I must say. I'm starting to like anaerobic coffees because there's an element of I don't know what to expect. So with nectarine acidity, kind of sweet, not too biting, but there'll be something kind of sharp and punchy there. Fig and chocolate. So fig, maybe a bit of that kind of caramelly, but a bit less of the syrupy mouthfeel maybe. And chocolate, that'd be the darker notes at the bottom. So in terms of that, that's not something I'd usually go for, but I am expecting to quite like it. One, because I like Dark Arts coffee, I think that's fairly established by now. And 2, because of those kind of combinations, I'm expecting something kind of very sweet, but very, impactful. So we'll give it a go, we'll grind it up, give it a go as an espresso. So it's got some notes here. Developed after decades of research by the Colombian Coffee Research Institute. So it's to achieve a hybrid that was rust leaf resistant while still delicious. So this is a micro lot as well. So, I'm expecting good things from that. So we'll grind it up, give it a go as an espresso shot and see what we feel. So there is our espresso shot with a really nice kind of head on it. I must say, even when pulling the shot, it gives off this fantastic fruity smell, which I think is probably that kind of nectarine acidity coming through. And it's not something you get a lot with coffee. It really smells fruity. So we're going to give it a go as an espresso shot, see what we feel. So I'm expecting a lot of fruitiness, to be honest, just from the smell. So there it is. Kind of rich. There is a kind of something about that kind of stone fruit smell about it, almost quite citric. Oh wow, super fruity to the point it's other anaerobic coffees I've tried have that fruitiness to them, but that's got this really nice light peachy fruitiness to it. I mean, it says nectarine, but I'm gonna there is a peachy fruitiness to it. It's really nice and light, not too acidic, not too biting, and that is a really lovely kind of shot. It's not too dark or too heavy a coffee. I think a lot of regular coffee drinkers would be really surprised by how light a coffee that is. It just kind of plays across the tongue really nicely, and it's incredibly fruity. And I don't think a lot of regular kind of coffee drinkers realise how fruity the palate of coffee can be, and that really just demonstrates that. That's fantastic. So yeah, a really nice kind of peachiness or nectarine acidity. I'm not getting the fig too much. Maybe kind of in the lower notes or the chocolate. There's that kind of, you know, slight kind of earthing of it. It's not too high and kind of pitchy, if you see what I mean. There is a nice kind of low undertone to it, just to kind of root it all. But yeah, it's surprisingly fruity. So that nectarine comes through really well, but it's not too acidic in terms of, it doesn't catch at you, it doesn't clutch. You just kind of go, oh wow. But being so fruity, I'm not sure if it's going to translate into a milkier drink. I'm loving that as an espresso shot, but as an oat latte, we will see. I wonder if the fig and the chocolate will come out a bit more to kind of balance it. But I'm enjoying it so far, so we'll see what we think in terms of latte. And yeah, wow, just wow. So there it is as an oat latte. I'm sort of expecting or hoping more of the fig and the chocolate comes out. I can't imagine that much kind of nectarine and fruitiness will be that pleasant with oat milk, but we'll see. So, cheers, here goes. Well, the fruitiness is undoubtedly dulled, but I'm not getting a lot more of the fig or the chocolate. Honestly, it's almost like a cup of tea. It's almost kind of got that if you drink kind of loose leaf or slightly posher teas. It's almost that kind of light, florally. It's not floral, obviously. It's very fruity, but it's more like that than I'd say a traditional coffee, or what you'd expect from a coffee. And I think that's just because it's so light. That nectarine is still there. But I'm not getting the fig or the chocolate. And like I say, there are those bassier notes that kind of root it, but I'm not instantly identifying them. I'm struggling a little to kind of go, yeah, that's fig, that's chocolate, that's where those notes are coming from. Like there are those lower notes, like I say, rooting it a little more so it's not too high and sweet. But ultimately, a very pleasant coffee that subverts what I would expect of coffee. It's very much lighter than what a lot of coffee drinkers will expect. And like I say, there's an element of tea drinking to it. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't taste like a cup of tea, you're still drinking coffee. But I think because there's this lightness, this sweetness, that you just kind of go, wow, that's not what is to be expected. And I like that, I really like that. And that's what I like a lot about anaerobic coffees. In terms of they do develop this sweetness. And I'd argue there's not a great deal of body to that, but I think that's what those lower notes are really. They're kind of saying actually this is quite bodied. So I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it really well. So I'll go away and have a think about it and write up some final thoughts. But I'm enjoying having my expectations subverted, shall we say. So yeah, I'll give it a think and write up some notes. In the meantime, why don't you hit those like and subscribe buttons, and check us out at www.getbeans.com for cafe reviews and more coffee and equipment reviews. Thank you. So, final thoughts on the Dark Arts Metal Hoop coffee is that I've given it a 3.5 stars. Now, I've only done that once before because I hate breaking my own reviewing system. If you have 5 stars, give it, 4 stars or whatever. So half a star really irritates me when people do that, and I'm doing it myself because it's not quite 4 stars. It's not up there with the things I really love, but boy is it a good coffee, and to give it 3 stars feels stingy. So 3.5 for me personally, and I must express all of these reviewings are like very subjective. So £12, not bad for the current rate coffee. Colombian coffee, Colombian single origin. So my final thoughts on it were incredibly fruity and light, with slightly heavier notes kind of rooting it. I couldn't pick out a lot of the chocolate and the fig, but there were those heavier notes. So, I'm not going to argue the toss. I'm just saying I personally couldn't pick them out. Fantastic espresso, love it. If I was a black coffee drinker, I would be all over this all day. I'm not though. I am a latte drinker effectively, and it's a bit like tea when milk is added. I'm getting kind of tea-like tones, which is neither a compliment nor, is it an insult. I'm just saying that's what I'm getting. But I really like the kind of how it subverts what I expect, and I do love that fruitiness, that peach or nectarine fruitiness is definitely there. You can't argue with that, and I'm really enjoying that. So at the end of the day, 3.5 stars from me. Lovely coffee. Thank you for watching. Do hit those like and subscribe buttons, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.